All right, good evening, everyone. We are now live on Zoom and on Facebook for tonight's event. We are very excited tonight to bring you from Beaujolais to California with Jean-Charles Boisset. Jean-Charles, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are so thrilled that you could join us from California and go through this fabulous presentation. So,
Bonsoir, Caroline, and I'm so excited to be with you, Chad, and all the wonderful people from New Hampshire. So I'm the one who thanks you for having us. We're thrilled.
Great. So before we kick things off, I would just like to quickly introduce everybody on the line. So tonight you have me, Caroline. I'm your moderator. I am going to be monitoring any questions that you have for the team. We have Chad from our wine marketing team here. Chad is a wine expert. He can also tell you where wines are in our stores, what their pricing is. He can give you pairings. Chad can do it all. We also have Lisa and James on the line to help support any questions that may come up as we go along. So Jean-Charles, I'm going to let you kick it off. Today is a very special day, and we are so glad that you could be here with us for it.
Absolutely. It's a special day. Well, it's a special day because we're together, and thanks to technology, we're bringing the world of three fabulous regions together: France, obviously New Hampshire, and California. So I'm really, really excited. It's a special day because, there's a big tradition in the world of wine, Caroline. As some of you know, I have a little French accent, as you can hear. I'm sure you can decipher it. It's still very pronounced. And I come all the way from a fabulous region named Burgundy. So I was born and raised in the world of wine, making wine since I'm literally 3 years old, and made my first cuvée at 5, drank my first bottle of wine alone at 7, and the rest is history, of course. And I've had the pleasure really to produce wine, and every year, Caroline and Chad, every year since I'm probably 7, I've attended on today's day, November 19, typically the third Thursday of November, the very famous Beaujolais Nouveau release of this wonderful wine that is called Beaujolais Nouveau. So Caroline and Chad, it's a big deal because obviously when you make wine, you make wine in harvest, typically in Burgundy or Beaujolais, a little earlier than in California in global terms because of temperature. We're closer to you in that part of the world. So we typically harvest mid-September. And after the first fermentation, which means the conversion of sugar into alcohol, we end up with a beautiful carbonic maceration that gives us a very pleasant flavor profile in the wine that is a nouveau flavor, a flavor full of very wonderful primitive fruit, like banana, like lychee, like all those fruits that really come out of the vat. And a brilliant idea in the 1940s was to actually do and produce and bottle a wine that is very fizzy, French, fresh, and vibrant. And that is called the Beaujolais Nouveau. So as you can see today, we're going to be drinking two, if you allow me, two very exciting houses. So it's fun because some of you are asking in which order. I think you may want to start maybe with the Beaujolais Montmessin, but if you prefer to start with the Bouchard, it's okay as well. It's kind of two different styles of Beaujolais Nouveau. And I'm very pleased to tell you, and please Chad and Caroline, anytime you want to interfere, you stop me because I could speak for 5 days straight. Not as good as Fidel Castro for 6 hours as a speech, but I could go 4. So what is exciting today, since probably the 1940s, as we make this wine, we bottle it very early, right? It's a really fresh Gamay. So Gamay is a grape that originally stems from Beaujolais. That was a wonderful grape when we discovered vineyards in the early 1900s to bring along like Grenache and plant around the world, Australia, California, and other parts of the world, because it's a very gentle, easy, fresh, fruity grape that really kind of blossom in not only granite soil, volcanic soil, sandy soil, and all kinds of lighter soils. So Beaujolais as a region is very exciting because it really is the home of that wonderful Gamay grape. So Gamay, for many of our friends here with us, it's a grape rootstock that looks like a hand. So imagine your hand coming out of the soil. So it's very low. It's roughly at 1 foot low. And it's a wonderful berry that is quite gentle with a thinner skin and has a nice spit, but not a big spit, unlike Pinot Noir or maybe Cabernet or Cabernet Franc. And it has that wonderful grape that enjoys carbonic maceration. Ah, wonderful term. You may wonder, what does that mean? Is it the carbonation within the berries? Yes, it is. So basically, it's one of the only regions, dear friends, around the world that uses that technique in order to really bring that freshness, that brightness to the wine. So as you serve this wine from Montmessin, by the way, one of the oldest winery in the Beaujolais, founded in 1865, that we own, and that the wonderful New Hampshire board were very kind to bring in for you to enjoy. Montmessin was one of the first winery ever in the history of Beaujolais to produce Beaujolais Nouveau. And what it means is Beaujolais has a great tradition with some cru to make wine in a very fresh, very exciting, very alive way. So many of you are saying perfect wine for Thanksgiving. Fully agree. You got to get 3 or 4 or 5 bottles because it's a very easy drinking wine. You can even have ice in it would you want to. Most likely in New Hampshire, it's going to be cold, so you don't need the ice. But it's a wine that really could sustain freshness. So the way I serve it, you see my bottle is quite cool. I had it in the ice bucket. In French, you pronounce that term chambré. Chambré means slightly cool or maybe cold. That's the way we typically drink Beaujolais Nouveau. We have a little dry sausage typically. You have dry fruit. You have a little bit of cheese. And this is how in the tradition of the Beaujolais region, where the town of Lyon, one of the most beautiful towns in France, which really welcomed the French Renaissance in the 1500s, is really known for, to have Beaujolais Nouveau with saucisson, with blood sausage, with butter, of course, with cheese, and you enjoy very simply a wonderful glass of Beaujolais. So the Montmessin, if you have it in front of you, is a very different style, I would say, than the Bouchard. And I would like us to compare, Chad, because I know you're the wine expert, Chad, and I hope you have the bottles of wine in front of you too, so you could drink a little bit. I heard it's much better than water when it comes 6 p.m. So, dear friends, for all of you participants, we're not looking for Beaujolais Nouveau to be the most complex wine. We're going to have a lot of more complex wine coming up shortly. We want a quaffing wine, a fresh wine, a party wine, a wine you want to have your friends arrive to your house. Oh, let's have a glass of Beaujolais Nouveau, something cool, fresh, zesty, and very enjoyable. And, we have 2 chefs in our kitchen doing a great dinner with Jane Seymour tomorrow, the famous actress, and they're cooking. It's going to be on our live tomorrow night. And what did they want to drink? Beaujolais Nouveau. That's why the bottle is almost empty. Because, chef in the kitchen, they can drink. Ooh la la, they can drink. So, that's the style, if you wish, of Montmessin. Montmessin is as well very known, dear friends, to have a beautiful facility right in Brouilly, which is part of the Cru du Beaujolais, and very known to make Brouilly, Moulin à Vent, Chenasse, Saint-Amour, you know, many of the famous cru of the Beaujolais. So it's one of the key house in the Beaujolais. We opted for a screw cap because you want to make it very easy for all of you. You open, you put it back, you put it in an ice bucket. Simple, easy, fun. I personally would tell you, I'm a big fan of Beaujolais Nouveau with pizza. You know, as simply as pizza. I'm a very big fan, of course, of Beaujolais Nouveau with barbecue. If you ever have the nostalgia of the summer and want to go on your deck or your balcony and cook a few sausage, Beaujolais Nouveau would be very, very good for that. So again, you're looking for direct wine, great wine, with, you know, always as well, respecting the environment. So a lot of our vineyards in the Beaujolais are very sustainable to organically farm. And it's very important for us as a winery and as a collection of wineries to really do this and to make sure that there's no pesticides, no herbicides. It's almost vegan, as you're asking. It's not fully vegan. I cannot say that because we use sometimes a little egg white to clarify the wines, you know, which is a method we use in cooking as well as in winemaking. And but otherwise, it is extremely, extremely sustainable on all fronts. So maybe Chad, you and Caroline, do you want to add anything to what I was saying? Tracy can handle egg white. I love it. Wonderful. And Tracy, you know, why do we clarify with the egg white? Let me explain you the technique. It's very simple. You drop the egg white in the barrel or in the tank. The egg white is going to bring all the particles to it that are floating from the grapes. It could be pits, it could be a little bit of skin, it could be, you know, the pulp, and it coagulates on the egg white and falls at the bottom of the barrel or at the bottom of the tank. And it's a great way, very natural way to do it. So it's an historical way as well. They've been doing that since Egyptian time, of all things. So we reintroduced that technique that we love, and we really think it's a great way to naturally make it. And Tracy, in your kitchen, if you're cooking, you want to do egg white fining as well for a lot of dressing you may do, or a lot of involved sauce recipe for your home. So check it out. Egg white is a key clarification agent. And I use it personally when I make beer at home. I use egg white as well to clarify my beer, not to filter, to clarify. So you keep the great agent, the great vitamins, the great, you know, composition of the beer or the wine, but you eliminate the particles you don't want to use. So unless anyone has another question, I invite you to taste the Bouchard Beaujolais Nouveau, because it's made in a more Burgundian fashion. So if you have them side by side, as I do, Bouchard is a very historical home in Beaune, one of the oldest house of Burgundy. We were delighted as a family to bring the Bouchard estate in our collection of wineries in 1994. And it was a big deal for us because this is really one of the most top-notch winery in the history of Burgundy. You could see the coat of arms. It's a very historical house, which basically is at the epicenter of Beaune. It's a beautiful chateau at the entrance of Beaune. And here, our winemaker, Laurent Meret, wonderful, charming man, has made this wine in a more Burgundian tradition. So a little richer, a little denser, a little more concentration, and maybe more cassis on the nose. Here we were more banana, maybe a little more strawberry, raspberry. Here you're a little deeper, richer, denser fruit. Yes. So, which is very cool is Two different Beaujolais Nouveau, and many people think, oh, Beaujolais Nouveau is the same, made by everyone. No, it's like a dish. If we both do a wine sauce as a reduction, I'm sure between Caroline and Chad and I, it will taste all different because we would reduce it differently, we would add different things to it, and we would have maybe a different vision of how we want to use that wine sauce. So that's the two difference. Both Beaujolais Nouveau, both made within the same timeline, but quite different in style. Maybe as well, the Bouchard is maybe more herbaceous. There's a hint of rosemary into it, a little bit of clove, maybe a tiny bit more mintiness to it. You know, maybe that's from the stalk of the grapes. When you taste wine, dear friends, you want to do what I'm doing. So, well, Tracy, which one is the sweetest? The Momestin would be a little sweeter. So, you know, depending what you like, I mean, the distinction is very mild. So here, when you taste, when you all taste wine, and I'm sure you've heard that from Chad and Caroline before, it's like brushing your teeth. So you basically want the wines to go everywhere in your mouth. Why? Because the front of your tongue, besides being very useful when you meet a Frenchman and you want to give him a French kiss, Caroline, this is, or Tracy, I haven't seen Tracy, but she seems very charming. You basically want to have the front of the mouth, thank you, Tracy, the front of the mouth to measure your sweetness. When you ask about sweetness, it's typically that part of the tongue, sweetness and salt. The back of your mouth is bitterness and acidity. The side of your tongue, both sides, the fatness, the richness of a wine. So what is very interesting in wine is you want to really do this. I'm going to do it in front of you. You smell the nose, you close your eyes, you breathe in intensely, and you go everywhere. And if you do that, think and close your eyes at the end, and the wine is still coming through. And through the back here, right here, it goes back to your nose, to your nostril, on the back end of your mouth. And you know why that's so cool? It's called retro-olfaction. It's a wine term that we use in wine and food to actually measure you know, the aromatic expression of the elements, because you still smell as you swallow. I know it sounds weird, but it's very true. As you go back and you swallow gently, it goes through the back of your nose, exactly like here. And I'm still smelling, you know, that banana, that cassis, those fresh flowers that I had in the nose, and even in a better way. So don't rush to eat something after you taste wine. If you really want to evaluate a wine, I really highly recommend you really spend the time to roll the wines around your tongue, to go really on the side, because if you like meat specifically, it's very good because the fatness of the meat, it could be beef, it could be filet mignon, it could be pork, it could be anything you want, is always on that side. So when you eat meat, you often bring it on the side of your tongue to really measure the fatness. It's like in Japan, they tell you, you put a little bit of the wagyu under your tongue even, just to measure the fatness, the marbleization of the beef. So it's very important you play with this, because your tongue is your analytical sensor. It's really your actual only intake to your body. I mean, mostly. I don't want to be too sexy here. Mostly. And that's where you basically analyze everything. When you think about it, that's the only one. You know, you breathe in through your nostrils, you could hear through your ears, but basically you swallow through here. So use that tongue to be your analytical arm, right? So very important, dear friends. So any question on those two great wines? If we don't, we should move to another wine. Oh, what makes this year very unique? So I'm going to tell you that. Thank you for the question. God, Tracy's on it. Woo! Tracy, I wish I would see your picture. It would be much better. So here, what makes 2020 great? Obviously, we're having a very unique year in Burgundy and Beaujolais. So for winemaking, not for pandemic, but for winemaking, by the way, 2 glasses a day keeps the doctor away. A bottle a day keeps COVID away. So you drink a bottle, you're safe. That's why in the wine country, we haven't had much COVID because everybody drinks a lot of wine. So what makes 2020 so unique? In general, 2020 is fantastic. You know, really a great year. 2020 in Burgundy is rich, is opulent, was a very sunny, warm year. So the grapes were filled with beautiful sunshine, gave great sugar composition, and we harvested as early as August 23rd, the earliest harvest in the last 50 years. And the harvest is spectacular. So what we're seeing in our cellars is honestly a great, great harvest. In the Beaujolais, same thing. You know, often, you know, we wonder if the evolution of what we see at harvest will be the same 9 months away. And this year we feel it's going to be very strong. So when you're going to look at what Chad and Caroline had selected for you in your stores, go crazy on 2018, Napa Valley, which we'll have later. Go crazy on Russian River. We're going to have as well the 18, which was a fantastic vintage. Big vintage, one to keep. Same as 2016, one to keep. And when you think of 2020 French wines, go crazy. You know, it's going to be a great one. I'm personally buying a lot of wine for my daughters who are 9 years old. I have twin girls and I'm collecting wine for them. And 2020 is going to be a great year for them because I'm already put a lot of options on a lot of different wines because I know it's going to be the hell of a great harvest. And you can see it. So often, and I'm sure Chad and Caroline do that, selecting wine for you too, is they taste the Beaujolais Nouveau. And Beaujolais Nouveau gives you a primary fantastic indication of what wine's going to taste like eventually that harvest. And I know Beaujolais is going to be amazing because when you have that density, that richness for a light wine normally, this is very promising. So I'm ecstatic.
We are too. And for those of you on the line who are just as excited about the Beaujolais Nouveau release as us, it's time for a little bit of trivia. And those of you who answer the quickest are going to get some Beaujolais Nouveau posters sent to you. So what I'm going to do is for those of you who are with us on Zoom on the webinar, that means you pre-registered. And that means I have your email address. So that's how we'll contact you so you can claim your prize. For those of you watching on Facebook, please be sure to pre-register for future events so you can also be eligible for prizes and any coupons that we may send. So the first, well, just to preface, all three of these questions have been answered by Jean-Charles, and you didn't even know that they were going to be trivia. So if you were taking notes, you're going to win. So James and I are monitoring the chat bar, and whoever answers correctly first will get a poster. So the first question is, when is Beaujolais Nouveau released? Oh, first correct answer is Peter. So Donna, you are correct this year, the 19th, because that's today, the 19th, but the answer is the third Thursday of the month. All right, next up, what is the popular phrase for Beaujolais Nouveau Day? Now, officially the phrase is in French, but I will accept an English version of this phrase for spelling purposes. David, you got it. Awesome. All right. Last one last poster up for grabs. What grape variety is used to make Beaujolais Nouveau? Oh, so many quick answers. Peter, it's you. All right, so the correct answer was Gamay. And I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you the correct answer for question number 2. It's Beaujolais Nouveau S. Arrive. Jean-Charles, please correct me.
You are fabulous. Yes.
Oh, good.
Arrivé. Very well said. I love your trivia. This is so cute.
All right. So, Peter and David, I will contact you guys to get your mailing addresses. Thank you, everybody, for answering tonight. You guys are quick. And so now we've been to France for the first half of tonight's program. It's time to move on to California for more wine.
More wine. Yes. California. So, dear friends, we're going to be enjoying now an amazing wine from a very historical region, the Russian River. Yes, the Russian are watching. So they are here. This is the Russian River. And this is a very exciting time for me to tell you as a Frenchman. You know, I dreamt of California all my life and America for sure. So my grandparents were very kind to take my sister and I to a California trip when we were 10 years old. And we were obviously in love with America and fell in love with California. So, and thank you. Donna Eber has a lot of Deloach in her cellar. I love it. Thank you, Donna. But I would tell you, Donna, you don't have enough. You never have enough. Deloach is delicious, delicious. You need more, Donna. So, in any case, I came to California, fell in love, and I was already making wine in France. And, you know, my sister and I were really enamored by the weather conditions, by the people, by the land, by the soil. And, you know, at 10 years old, I was already, as I told you before, making wine, helping my parents in the cellar, which in those days was actually in the living room. So it's like if you help your parents, you know, making food in the kitchen, you know, because you help out and this is what they do, and you're the child and you'd better put your hands to contribution. So I was very impressed with the California Chardonnay. As early as 10 years old, then I came back at 12, 14, 16, and I kept tasting and sharpening my understanding of what beautiful Chardonnay in California could be. And I'm very pleased to tell you that I fell in love with the Russian River. So in 2003, we were able to acquire the Delicious Winery, and very similar to your beautiful state, the Deloche people were from the Loire Valley of France, and as Huguenots, way back in the 18th century, got kicked out of France. If you were not Catholic in those days, you got to be kicked out. And they basically went to the US, and the family moved west during the gold rush. And then in the early, 1960s, had a dream to basically make wine in the Russian River. And they were very clever because the Russian River was actually discovered in many ways by the Russian, hence the Russian River. They came from Russia through Alaska. And you remember on the opposite side of the country that you love so much, Sarah Palin was saying, "Oh, I could see the Russian from my bathroom." That was so cute. And it's true. They came this way through Alaska, went down because they were trapping skin. They were basically shipping back or selling skin to the Hudson Company out of Canada, one of the oldest retail company out of the entire Northern American continent. And then they went south, or Washington, Oregon, and eventually, so David, here we go. Your family was kicked out of Calais. Yes, and that's how the actual Deloach went off from Calais. Same thing as your Many went through Belgium and Holland, and they left in Rotterdam boats to the US or Canada or other countries. And the Deloche went out of Calais like your parents. So you see, you have a lot in common with the Deloche family. And so they went there and they trapped skin on the Russian River. You know, if you don't know the Russian River, it starts in the Pacific Ocean, back and forth, and really goes into Sonoma. So the Russian River brings beautiful temperature on the bench, and they were very clever to basically be planting, you know, planting grapes on the sides of the bench. And they did a very good job, and it became very popular. They did Grenache, they did Gamay, they did other grape varieties, and it was very, very happening. And then people started to think, wow, this is the place to be. So this is how it started. And I was smelling that vanilla, that brioche feel, that butter feel. Chad, you're not drinking. What's wrong with you? You got to get a glass of wine in there. Caroline as well. I feel like I'm alone drinking.
Don't you worry. Chad and I are ready for later.
Oh, good, good, good. So in any case, then came the Deloche, and in the late 60s, they're planting two grape varieties that became extremely popular. And they were really one of the first ones. In the sides of the Russian River, in the Laguna bench, they basically planted Chardonnay. And then on the western side of it, they planted Pinot, which became that beautiful Russian River and Green Valley that we all know, that really became phenomenal. Peter, your family in Saint-Romain, I love it. Saint-Romain is close to my village in Burgundy. I love that. So that would be very close to a Saint-Romain wine, but maybe closer to a Saint-Aubin, which is very close to Saint-Romain, beautiful village in Burgundy. So the goal of this wine, we have an amazing winemaking team. It's a male and a female. It's Brian Maloney and Katie Carter, male female team, which typically is the best in winemaking because, you know, men could make wine in one way, women in another. So if you bring the two together, you have something really magical. And so here, what we do is, indeed, we have 50% of this wine from, you know, the actual Petaluma Gap, which brings that beautiful wind from the Pacific Ocean, and a portion of it from Marin County as well. So it brings a lot of phenomenal grape flavors that is so special in this wine. So there's only 50% barrel aged, 10% new French oak only. So we don't want a lot of new French oak because we don't want the wines to be overly rich or overly cougar. Yes, you heard it. I said cougar, like a cougar wine, you know, it's those wine with an enormous cleavage. And I love cleavage, don't misunderstand me. But you don't want the wines to be too exotic, too pineapple, too grapefruit. And we joke in the wine country when you say it's a cougar wine, as Chad and Caroline has heard so many times, it's a wine which is very much too oaky, too much vanilla, you know, too much of that primary Chardonnay rich, over the top flavor that you drink a glass and then you say, that's all I want. So here, we knew in New Hampshire that you may want to enjoy seafood because you have the best in the country, and certainly amazing things coming out of the ocean. You want to have something that works very well with seafood and vegetables. So this is really that dream wine here, as well poultry. So this is another great wine for Thanksgiving, where you have on the nose a beautiful invitation to the backyard. You know, beautiful white asparagus, you know, the one you basically bury in the soil. You have incredible, beautiful flavor of fresh flowers, including white rose. I mean, very, very nice. You have white peach. You have that very light white pear. Not that rich pear overly ripe, but right when it starts to ripe. Mm. And the mouth, you have a beautiful coating. And if you don't have the wine, I don't want to make you jealous. But yeah, thank you, Tracy. You said it. It's checking all the box. And that's really what we tried to do. You see the attack. So in wine terms, as you swallow your wine, it's the attack. That's the technical term we use. The attack is what you feel right away. And then you have the mid palate, and then you have the length of the wine. And I'm really bullish about this wine because it has a beautiful attack, great exotic, but not overly exotic. You don't have overly grapefruit or pineapple. It's sexy. It's very well managed. And then you have a beautiful meat palate with nice oak flavor, meaning nice vanilla. And then that toasting characteristics of a brioche that you may want to put in the toaster. And you put a little butter on top. Oh, it's almost time for breakfast. And you put that little butter, and this is what you're crunching into right now. And I'm salivating because the optimal objective of a wine is to make you salivate. Makes you want to have that bacon maybe with it. You grill bacon, you take the fat off, and you dry it a little bit, and you just chew on it with a glass of Chardonnay. It's amazing. You could do it in the saucepan or on your kitchen grill, and it's very cool that way. And I love it as simply as that. I love it as well with, gougère. I love this wine with, as well, all forms of salad because it compensates very well. I would not put any vinegar in your salad sauce because vinegar tends to throw off your palate. But, just simple olive oil, a little bit of lime or lemon, and salt and pepper, you're in business. And if you are vegan, this is a great wine with all your allowed food because it has that richness, that intensity. Caroline, Chad, anything to add on this wine? I know you always want to compliment what I say. I'm certainly far away from covering every aspect of it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, similar to what you said, when a wine is too much oak, it's a little too overpowering. And the fact that this wine is just so well balanced and it can go with so many different meals, a really good salad, like you said, it's a phenomenal pairing because it's not over the top and it's just perfectly balanced for it.
Thank you, Chad. Exactly. Thank you. And Chad, which is great with those wines is, and your selection, because you all did the selection of the wines today. I'm a big fan because it has, again, that great minerality on the back end, but still some richness that allows you to say, okay, I'm going to have chicken, and I'm going to have chicken maybe with a nice little bechamel or white sauce. And this wine will go very well. If you just want to stay on the white journey, this is wonderful with white meat. So I think it's very important as well to say, as easy as that, you want to have it just when you're cooking, no food with it, maybe just a little bit of pecorino, or maybe Parmesan cheese, or maybe Comté cheese as you preparing your dinner. You just have a glass from your fridge, and this is a fabulous wine to start the evening. Thank you, Craig, from Martinetti. Yes, this wine is in 25 New Hampshire stores. Yes. Well, how many store, Chad, do you have total in New Hampshire?
Currently, we have 84 listed, but I believe we have 79 currently.
Well, we should try to put that wine in 79 so everybody can get it. Do you all agree, dear friends? All participants say yes, say yes.
Oui.
Thank you, Craig. So I don't know if you have another great quiz after the white, but maybe Caroline, you tell me if you want to go to the reds now.
Yes, I would love to go to the reds. I don't know if you guys can
Fantastic.
tell from my sweater and my hair, but I love reds. I actually have a bottle of last year's Beaujolais Nouveau waiting for me to go with my dinner after we're done being live tonight. So I love the reds, and Jean-Charles has a great red for you tonight, which was actually part of our 85th anniversary celebration.
Well, thank you, Caroline, indeed. So I'm sure you're going on a hot date tonight, as always. I'm sure there's many people in the chat who wants to take you out. Maybe Chad is taking you out tonight.
So maybe Chad and I can have a double date with his wife and my fiance.
Ooh, I like that. Well, you know, the double dates are fun, but they don't have to know that you're just going together too. Don't tell everything. Ay, 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 this is fun. So, dear friends, the double date is fun because it allows you to bring more wine, right? And
Sure.
you know, I recommend everybody to play. Life is too short not to have fun. And you know what you want to do as well is hide the label. You know, when you serve wine and to your husband, to your wife, to your fiance, just say, you know, thank you, Tracy. uh, just say, what are you tasting? And you know what I do as a family? So I got to give you a little confidence here. My cousin are all not in the wine world. They like wine, but they're not, you know, they're not big experts in whichever way or form. So we do a game at Christmas. So all the family typically, except this year, will get together and we 30 of us. And I organize always. So we have a big lunch, then we go for a walk, we do a wine tasting, and then we do dinner. So, you know, typical French way, you know, we spend like 14 hours around the dinner table and then we're ready to kill each other because it's very intense, religious, political, and sex conversation. The sex one is always the one that brings everybody together, funny enough. You talk politics, you talk, you know, it brings people apart, but you bring on sex, it's always good. So just a piece of advice for Christmas. So we do a blind tasting. Yes, Patricia, oh my. So I do it blind, it's very professional. So I put 3 opaque glasses in front of everybody. So what I mean by opaque is a glass where you cannot see the color or you blindfold the person. So you do either way. And you serve a non-oaky Chardonnay, water, and a non-oaky red wine. And you say to everybody, guess what is what? And I guarantee you, even the wine experts that I am, and I'm pretentious because I'm going to give you the definition of an expert, is someone who knows how to be wrong with authority. So you may want to use that line. And, you know, I've gotten wrong between the water and the Chardonnay, or the Chardonnay and the red wine, because if the tannins are not too pronounced, if the wine is not too obvious, it's very tricky. And I use the Evian water because the pH is very neutral and it has good density, so you could mix it up. So I don't know if you don't know what to do at Thanksgiving or Christmas, you may want to do a blind tasting. It's a lot of fun. So this wine, I'm very excited because we made it specifically for you. It's only available in New Hampshire. Only. JCB, my name, my initials always carry a number that is very specific to a moment of my life. So one of the number I love is 69. I'm not sure I need to tell you why. When I was born in 69, here we go. Another one is 21, another one is 13, another one is 7, another one is 11. They each and every one of them has a meaning. So when your fabulous buying team, was with us last year at the winery, you know, Tracy, I will address your question in a moment, but Pinot is Pinot. Pinot is 100% Pinot. No combination, no ménage à trois, no orgy, nothing happening in the bottle, just one grape. Very serious. So when your team came up here to Napa Valley and Sonoma, they said, oh, we'd love to make a wine with you that could really celebrate the 85th anniversary of our New Hampshire board of you know, bringing fine wines to the state of New Hampshire. Said, I'm all in. So I had around 15 barrels of wine on the side for a special project. And they said, can we taste it? And I said, really, you want to taste this? And this is what we're tasting today, because they twisted my arm, of course, and they were fabulous. And they said, well, what about if we, you know, bring a tagline to it? And I said, well, there's only one: live free or die, which is the famous tagline of your state that I think I love, because I really believe life needs to be owned by your own self, and you need to auto-determine what you want to do and build your future. And I love this idea of what New Hampshire is all about. So I said, great, let's do it. So we tasted the wines here, and then I sent it to you guys, and Chad and Caroline, I'm sure you tried it at the time and you help us make it, which makes it very cool. And we basically did it together. So this is a very important area of California. One of my favorite, frankly, for Pinot, which is a single grape variety. So you were asking, is Pinot has to do something with Cabernet or Merlot? Nothing. It's like being from one side of the country to the other, from New Hampshire to Southern California, or Florida to Alaska, you know, very different. Or it's like, you know, beef and chicken, very different. So Pinot is that very historical grape that comes from Burgundy, where I'm from. So this is why Pinot is really if I had one skill, that would be my skill, is to make great Pinot. And I'm not sure I do, but I'm still working on it. And this is really my life. If you were to cut my right arm, you would have Chardonnay gushing out. My left arm, you would have Pinot gushing out, because Burgundy is only Chardonnay and Pinot. So my life was to learn about those two grape varieties. So here I basically took some of our best vineyards on the edge of the coast. So you're talking about to fall in the Pacific Ocean, harvested the grapes, bring them in the winery, open top wood fermenter, long maceration program, around 24, 25 days, and make this wine significant portion of French oak only. And I'm very proud of this one. I hope you like it as much as I do. I'm going to serve it tonight to this dinner. I have a few extra bottles that I kept, because you're the only one to have it, except I have a few cases left in my cellar, because I'm really a big fan. It's not an expensive wine, because New Hampshire wanted to keep it affordable so you enjoy it and you celebrate the 85th anniversary of the board. So what I was looking for, if we taste it together, is really a phenomenal Burgundy nose. And I love it because it has a combination of Southern Burgundy with Western County from Sonoma. What I mean by that is a lot of cola, that flamboyant fruit from Sonoma, a lot of fruit forwardness. I mean, it hits you amazingly, and it really invites you through the nose, and then you taste it. You have a lot of richness, a lot of density. Yes, so Craig is saying it's only, I cannot believe it's $18. Wow, that's a cheapo. Give me 2 cases, Craig. Everybody should get 2 or 3 cases in their cellar, because it's indeed very, very inexpensive. I cannot believe It's, I think for me, it's really what Sonoma Coast is about: freshness, intensity, persistence. Um, Donna, yes, we could ship to California, Donna, always. I'm answering for you, Caroline.
I don't know. That might be one for Chad, actually.
Well, Donna, come and see me because we know each other, and come and drink it with me. I'll save some for you. I have a few extra bottles, as I told you. So, Donna, I'm waiting. And what I love about this wine is, you know, that beautiful aromatic expression. And I'm going to tell you, see at the bottom right here, it's a 2018 vintage, and it has a lot of length. That's what I love. It's still very young. Can you imagine 2 years old? I mean, I know we bottled this wine 5 months ago, I believe. So it was on a fast track to make sure that it hit the shelf for Thanksgiving and Christmas for you. And it fit perfectly the 85th anniversary. For me, it's the wine to keep in your home rack and in your cellar. And it's going to constantly age beautifully. And all those beautiful notes of oak and tannins will continuously evolve and will bring persistence and will be an amazing companion. And this wine, I would not just do it with poultry or turkey, I would do it with meat as well. Specifically, unless you just do barbecue with pepper on your beef, even if you do a wine sauce and a reduction, or cream sauce for that matter, with mushroom and chanterelle or champignon, it would be amazing. So I really highly recommend as well this wine. If you're vegetarian, of course, it's great, but with that, I love this wine with Indian food. I love this wine with Thai food, Chinese food. And I need to give you a confidence, as you all love seafood, this is an amazing wine which will go very well with, you know, Japanese food. So you name it, sashimi, raw fish, you want oysters with this, it's incredible. And, you know, you really be inviting an amazing explosion of flavor by marrying it that way. I think it's a very solid and charismatic wine made for the 85th anniversary. Chad, anything you want to chime in on this? Because I know you know this wine well, and it's a big seller for you, of course. So please add anything you wish, you know.
Like you said, most people think of Pinot Noir, you know, they think of the cherry fruit forwardness and that it goes with light chicken or turkey or fish, but the wine pairs beautifully with red meat. Like you said, you could have it with a grilled steak, or you could have it with dim sum. I mean, it really can go with so many different things because it has that Burgundian influence of the heavy backbone to it on top of the Sonoma flavors. It's phenomenal.
So well said. Thank you, Chad. And you know, you're very lucky to have Caroline and Chad who could give you a lot of advice. And don't be shy to ask. I think it's great because, listen, they're very pro. He has the map behind him. He knows every corner of the valley. And I think it's important to really experiment, to be obviously adventurous in your wine choice and food choice. And it's important as well to think about the pairing, to think about the relationship you're building with your wine, and to spend time. There's nothing more fun than to talk about a wine glass for hours, like you would for a dish. You know, you go to a restaurant or you cook at home, you spend hours cooking, you got to spend hours talking about your last dish. Same with wine. Spend time. And you know, my recommendation is to open many bottles at the same time, like we're doing today, because you want to go back to wine. You want to taste it in an hour, maybe in an hour and a half. Maybe you put the Chardonnay back in the fridge on ice. You know, go back to it. The wine's going to taste differently. The wine will evolve and you will evolve. And with food, it's a whole other story. Sorry, I'm speaking with gesture, and I put some wine all over my suit. Oh. I have Julie with me. It's the only way so she could obviously take the wine out of my shirt, you know. It's all good. I
So
did it.
Charles, we have a question for you from Facebook. So
Ah,
in regards to the 85th anniversary wine, how long is its life? I mean,
oh,
I think you open it and you drink it, but that's just me.
oh, for sure. So from the opening to the drinking, the wine will last 36, 48 hours and still be good, but I think you can age it for 5, 10, 15 years. So would you want to keep this for the 100th anniversary of the liquor board? It would still be good. You know, a wine of that caliber will age easily 10 to 15 years. I would recommend 5 as a max. So you rotate your wines. And again, it's a $20 bottle of wine. You could graduate to the other JCB you have in your store, which are really vin de garde, as we call it, meaning a wine you want to keep for a long time. But here, you know, enjoy it. But if it's there in 5 years, it will still be good.
Awesome. I think that's a great idea. We should save some for our 100th anniversary.
Absolutely. For your 1995, I'll make more for you.
Oh, do you see that? There's a question for you that I don't know what
Sue
it
is-
says.
Yeah, no, thank you. And Sue is referring to Joie de Vie because it's very true. We have a JCB Live, which is our great Facebook Live program. And we do it on Instagram. We're doing it every day at 5, except Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4. And on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, it's all about recipes and food and wine pairing with our chef. And on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it's a lot of fun guests and discussion on wine, food, love, sex, music, acting. And tomorrow night, we're actually doing a major one with Jane Seymour, the famous actress, where we're cooking with her favorite recipe for Thanksgiving. So if you want to join, it's called JCB Live or JC Boisset, Boisset. So it's my name on Instagram or Facebook. So make sure you join because a lot of those great questions, Caroline and Chad, will be answered a lot on what we do on the JCB Live. So it's fun. Thank you, Peter, for being with us. I know you had to run, but this is great. And I'm going to type the Instagram name so you have it. JC underscore Boisset. Boom. Here it is.
Great.
Last wine.
Ooh, that bottle, that label. Looks
Caroline,
like
tell us about it because you dress like the wine.
I did. So no, I won't do it justice. You have to do it. You have to tell everybody.
Very much, you know. Well, you know, Caroline is dressed perfectly. She's black, fabulous shirt, and then she has her red sweater and her beautiful black hair. So this is exactly the official color of Raymond. So Raymond is all about, you know, red and black. And as you can see, a beautiful, dark, phenomenal Cabernet with a red velvet label. So Raymond is one of the most amazing winery as a cab producer, Chard producer, and Merlot and Red Blend in Napa Valley. They've been here for 5 generations. It's unreal. 5 generations of winemakers in the heart of Napa. And they wanted to retire, so we were there at the right time. We bought the winery. That's where I am right now. And this is in Santa Elena. So we have vineyards from Santa Elena to Rutherford to Oakville to Calistoga to Stag's Leap, all over the valley. And Raymond is very cool because we have a red room, the color of Caroline's sweater, all red. And I'm going to show it to you because I think it's a very fun one to show. And which is so cool with the red room is the fact that it's really inviting and and I don't have it on my virtual background. You don't have the,
It doesn't do a virtual background.
so I won't be able to show it because it doesn't do virtual background on that computer, but you can only imagine it's layers and layers and layers of velvet. And it gave us the idea to do this wine, the first ever velvet label in the world of wine. And I'm very proud of it because for all of you ladies, thank you, Tracy. It's sexy. I agree. And Chad and Jill, thank you for commenting on this great cab. It's made by Stephanie Putnam, amazing lady winemaker. She's been making wine for 30 years in Napa Valley, as well as Sophie Drucker, vineyard manager, is a lady as well. She's been our vineyard manager for many, many years as well. And we've converted all our vineyards into organic and biodynamic farming. And then you have Thane Knudsen and Philippe Melka as a consulting winemaker. So a lot of incredible people, again, men, ladies, all associated in this blend to create perfection from the heart of Napa. So I'm actually bullish about this wine. This is the wine I bring everywhere, absolutely everywhere, because of the label, but the wine, it's very competitively priced. I believe, Chad, what's the price point for you, Chad, in the stores?
So currently the Raymond is on sale for $45.99. It's normally $49.99.
So again, you're going to have 2 or 3 cases of the 85. You're going to have 2 or 3 cases of the Raymond Cab. Pile those high in your cellar. You will never be disappointed. If you have a European palate, people love it. If you have an American Napa Valley palate, people love it. I think it's the best of both worlds. It's really, you know, fantastic wine because it's eloquent, it's sophisticated, it's rich, it has intensity, it has persistence, beautiful flavor profile, and goes very well with fine food. So this is really probably one of my favorite cab we make. There's another one we do named, you know, Buena Vista, which is a very, very high-end cab as well that you have, Chad and Caroline, in your store. But I'm a big fan with this because this is sensuality. This is beautiful sophistication, roundness, and length. It has a lot of sex appeal. So when Tracy wrote sexy, I know she was not talking about me, sadly. She was talking about the wine. So I would agree with that. It's a sexy wine. So this is for, you know, our limited time we have to go through. Obviously, we went from Beaujolais in France with Gamay. Then we discovered the beautiful Russian River Chardonnay, you know, that beautiful balance of minerality, acidity, you know, the Pacific coast, really. Then we went to the Sonoma coast with the 85, which is the celebratory wine for New Hampshire. And then we finished with a great Napa Cab. I mean, what a tour. You got me excited. So,
This was incredible.
much.
I can't even, everyone, we just literally went around the world tonight, not in 90 days. We went around the world tonight in 1 hour with Jean-Charles.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. You know, I love doing those things because I love to taste wine. You know, my life is to taste, to smell. You know, my nose is probably the most important asset on my body. After making twins, you know, the rest was useless. So, except to bring trouble. So, my nose is what I love. I smell food, I smell books, I smell everything. You know, we make fragrance as well, and I love smelling. So I think when you dare, Caroline, tonight with your fiance, be crazy, or Thanksgiving, open a lot of bottles of wine. You know, you'll be home for a few days and just open, and just go back to it. And you all want to experiment and experience and live wine like I do or we do when we make wine, is being adventurous, being audacious, and allow yourself to try food which are different. And maybe what you do for Thanksgiving is you have escargot from Burgundy, you have a little bit of saucisson to start, and you travel around the world with wine and food together. That's another way to do it.
I think that's a great idea. Jean-Charles, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been an absolute pleasure hearing all
Thank you.
about your California wines, the Beaujolais. This was a great, great hour. Thank you so much for staying on a little bit extra with us to
Oh,
answer
my
every
pleasure.
question.
I need to go for our JCB Live, as you know now. It started, as you know. Luckily, we pre-recorded because I'm so talkative. We pre-recorded this morning because I knew I would talk too much.
Yeah, so for those of you who have not followed Jean-Charles on Facebook or Instagram yet, he goes live almost every day. So if you enjoyed tonight, go follow him as well. We also have our 90 days continuing. This is our third week, so we've got like 9 or 10 more weeks of events, wine tastings, Q&As, spirits. We've got it all. So come on back tomorrow. We'll be live with Frog's Leap Winery. And then next week, we do have a couple more events before we take a little break for Thanksgiving. So thank you so much. For those of you who won the posters, I have, you sent me your email addresses in the chats. So thank you very much. Peter actually won 2, and he graciously has said that Amy, who answered one of the questions second, could have the other one. So thank you.
Such a generous boy. God, he's so good. Maybe he wants to have a date with Amy. Be careful.
Oh.
The second intention behind a goodwill.
So if you have any other questions, please go ahead and leave those on Facebook, and we will talk to Jean-Charles offline. He's going to go be live again right now. But I mean, you can do it. You're great. You're a great personality. It's been so wonderful having you on.
Thank you. And thank you, Caroline and Shad, for what you both do. You're really incredible. And doing those live sessions is really making all our lives fun and exciting, and bringing all of us from the wine countries of the world to our friends in New Hampshire is a great honor. So let me know anytime. I'll be back whenever you want to.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.